In today's video, I am going to demonstrate how to knit left and right leaning cables. We're specifically going to be doing 3/3, and I can't wait to show you how to do this fun technique. Right here on this swatch, we've got a set of left leaning and right leaning cables. I'm showing these to you guys right up top in this video so you can see the difference between the left lean and the right lean of the cable. So when I say left leaning or right leaning, you'll know what those look like moving forward. On my needle here, I have a few rows worked of purl 2, knit 6, purl 2, and vice versa on the wrong side. So once you knit a few rows and get back to your right side of your knitting, you're going to work in pattern until it calls for a 3/3, and in this case I'm going to demonstrate left leaning cable. So I've purled 2, and now we're at the 6 stitches that will make up the 3/3 left leaning cable. Right here is an important tool. This is called a cable needle. The ones I learned to cable knit on were shaped more like a U. I have really grown to love these like shepherd's hook shaped cable needles because they hang really nicely as you do your cable knitting. You can also just use another double pointed needle, a safety pin, or once you get bold and really master cabling, you can actually cable knit without a cable needle, but I'll save that for another tutorial. So to make that left leaning cable, I'm going to grab the first 3 stitches off of my left hand needle, 2 and 3, and I've got them here on my cable needle. I'm going to let that hang on my side, the front side of the work, and then I'm going to knit the next 3 stitches as if those 3 on the cable needle aren't even there. So 1, 2, and 3, and now we're going to come back to the cable needle. So we're going to bring those 3 stitches near the end of the cable needle and work right off the cable needle as if it's the left hand knitting needle. So then we'll knit 3 and 3, and now we can just drop that cable needle on our working surface and then finish the row as written, which in this case is with 2 purl stitches. Now your work should look substantially skinnier because we've introduced a twist. So with cabling, the concept that you really have to get in your head is that you're knitting the stitches just out of order. So to get those twists to happen, you are simply putting those stitches on the cable needle and working them out of order. So those ones you put on the cable needle, you work after the other ones. So let me show you a right leaning cable stitch, and you'll kind of really get to see that concept in action. Now that I've worked a few more rows after our left leaning cable twist, you can see how our stitches have relaxed back into a wider, taking up a wider width. And now let me show you how to do a right leaning cable. And if you have mastered left leaning cables, which is holding the stitches at the front, you have probably already guessed how to do right leaning cables, which is holding those stitches at the back. So we worked in pattern up until our pattern calls for the 3/3 right leaning cable. So we're going to grab our handy dandy cable needle and pick up the next 3 stitches. And instead of dropping them to the front like we did last time, we're going to bring them over and let it hang at the back. And one thing to keep an eye on is your working yarn as you do this. Make sure that the working yarn is not going behind your cable needle. So instead of going behind, make sure it just goes straight from those stitches you did before to the next 3 stitches you're going to knit, like so. All right, now those 3 stitches on our cable needle are hanging at the back, and we're going to knit 3. 1, 2, and 3. And now, just like before, we're going to bring the stitches that we had hanging at the back to the end of our cable needle. So there's a little bit to juggle right here, but hopefully holding it like this lets you see what I'm up to. So those 3 stitches are going to go to the end of this cable needle, and we're going to work off the cable needle as if it's our left-hand needle. And we'll do that by knitting 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. And what I did right there is actually something that's pretty common when you're knitting cables, especially on this short of a row stitch repeat. You noticed probably that I dropped a couple stitches off my needle. If that happens, do what I did and just carefully pick them back up, making sure that those stitches still have the wraps that they should have, that the pattern calls for. Next, you'll finish out your row with a couple of purls in this case. So right here on our little bookmark size cable piece, you can see that I did a left leaning cable and then pivoted and did a right leaning cable a few rows later. So once you master juggling all three of these needles, you can as well repeat the same lean of a cable to get this nice twisted braid that I have here in the swatch, and you can do that either left or right leaning. And the nice thing also about cables is you can use the same tutorial to do other sorts of cables, not just 3/3. You can do 1/1, 2/2, 4/4, and then when you get really comfortable, you can check out a stitch dictionary and master really intricate cable patterns like you might find in Irish knitting patterns. See how easy cable knitting can be? I definitely think that once you get the hang of it, knitting cables will become your BFF in your next project, especially for adding some texture. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to comment with any questions and subscribe for even more knitting tutorials.